Have you ever felt trapped in a whirlwind of negativity, constantly second-guessing your own worth because of someone else's behavior? Maybe you've faced relentless criticism, manipulation, or the subtle erosion of your confidence by someone who seems to thrive on your discomfort. Toxic people are masters of emotional sabotage, and their tactics can leave even the most resilient among us questioning our sanity. But what if I told you that the power to break free is entirely within your grasp? What if you could navigate the treacherous waters of toxic relationships with the wisdom of ancient Stoicism, a philosophy rooted in self-control, resilience, and inner peace? The Stoics believed that while we cannot control the actions of others, we can control our responses, and this principle holds the key to dealing with toxic individuals effectively. In this video, we'll explore 12 clever ways to reclaim your emotional sovereignty, inspired by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. As we journey through these strategies, you'll gain the tools to identify toxic behavior, set unshakable boundaries, and ultimately protect your peace. Stick around, because the final lesson might just be the most transformative of all. Let's dive in. 1. Recognize when to walk away. There comes a moment in every toxic relationship when you must ask yourself a profound question. How much more of myself am I willing to sacrifice? This isn't a question of weakness, but one of immense strength. Walking away is often painted as an act of surrender, but in truth, it's one of the most powerful moves you can make. It's the ultimate declaration of your self-worth. Toxic people have a way of making you feel like you owe them your loyalty, even as they drain your energy and erode your happiness. They might play the victim, accuse you of abandonment, or guilt you into staying. But the reality is clear. No relationship is worth the cost of your mental and emotional health. The Stoics understood that our primary responsibility is to ourselves, to nurture a mind that remains calm and undisturbed by external chaos. Consider this. Are you clinging to a relationship that consistently leaves you feeling drained? Have you convinced yourself that things will change, even as the patterns repeat endlessly? The courage to walk away comes from understanding that not all relationships are meant to last, and that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. Imagine a life where you are no longer tethered to the toxic dynamics of others. Picture yourself waking up each day without the weight of someone else's negativity bearing down on you. Walking away is not about giving up. It's about choosing freedom. It's about creating space for healthier, more fulfilling connections to take root. Stoicism teaches us to embrace the impermanence of life. Relationships, like all things, have their seasons. Clinging to what no longer serves us only prolongs our suffering. When you walk away, you are not only reclaiming your peace, but also making room for growth, for new beginnings, and for the people who will uplift rather than drain you. So, how do you take this step? Start by acknowledging the reality of the situation. Be honest with yourself about the impact this relationship has on your well-being. Then, with a firm resolve, choose yourself. Remember, walking away is not an act of selfishness, it's an act of self-love. As we move forward, we'll explore the next crucial step in your journey, limiting your exposure to toxic individuals. Stay with me, because every strategy we discuss builds on the last, guiding you toward a life of unshakable peace. 2. Limit exposure to toxic people. Imagine being in a room filled with smoke. At first, you might cough or feel irritated, but the longer you stay, the more it suffocates you. Toxic people are much like that smoke. Lingering in their presence can slowly erode your peace of mind, leaving you drained and emotionally depleted. The Stoics believed that we are the guardians of our inner fortress, and part of that guardianship is limiting what and who we allow within its walls. Limiting exposure doesn't mean you stop caring about someone. It means you care enough about yourself to recognize when a relationship is doing more harm than good. Whether the toxic individual is a colleague, friend, or even a family member, the principle remains the same. Your well-being comes first. But how do you create this distance without falling into guilt or second-guessing your choices? Start by identifying the situations that drain you the most. Is it the daily interactions at work? The incessant calls that leave you feeling worse every time? The Stoics encourage us to observe without judgment, to see things as they are. Once you've pinpointed where the toxicity seeps in, you can take intentional steps to limit those interactions. For example, if it's a toxic coworker, strive to keep your conversations strictly professional. Avoid engaging in gossip or emotionally charged discussions that fuel their need for drama. If it's a friend or family member, set clear boundaries around when and how you interact. Maybe you reduce the frequency of your visits or limit conversations to neutral topics. Does this mean you're cutting them off completely? Not necessarily. Limiting exposure is about creating healthy distance, not severing ties unless absolutely necessary. It's about reclaiming control over your time and energy. When you spend less time with toxic individuals, you give yourself the space to breathe, to heal, and to focus on what truly matters. Here's an important question to reflect on. How much of your energy is being consumed by people who bring negativity into your life? Energy, like time, is finite. Every moment you spend in a toxic environment is a moment you could be investing in relationships and activities that nourish your soul. You might be thinking, but what if they notice the distance and confront me? This is where the wisdom of Stoicism comes into play. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your well-being. If they question your reduced availability, respond calmly and without defensiveness. I've been focusing on some personal things, or I've had a lot on my plate. You're not obligated to provide more detail than you're comfortable with. Creating distance can be challenging, especially if you've been deeply enmeshed in the toxic dynamic. But each step you take away from negativity brings you closer to inner peace. Remember, even small changes, shorter conversations, fewer interactions, or declining unnecessary gatherings can have a profound impact on your emotional health. 3. Prioritize self-care. Picture this. You're running a marathon, but instead of water stations along the way, you're handed more and more weight to carry. Eventually, you collapse, not because you weren't strong enough, but because you neglected one crucial thing: your own needs. This is what happens when you deal with toxic people without prioritizing self-care. You burn out. Self-care is often misunderstood as indulgence, something we do only when we've earned it. But Stoicism teaches a different perspective. The Stoics valued moderation, discipline, and maintaining a healthy mind and body as a duty, not a luxury. To effectively deal with toxic individuals, self-care must be your foundation, your unshakable armor. What does self-care really mean? It's not just about pampering yourself. It's about ensuring your emotional and mental well-being. It's about recognizing when your inner balance is off and taking deliberate steps to restore it. When you're dealing with toxic people, self-care becomes a non-negotiable act of self-preservation. Start by reclaiming your time and energy. Toxic individuals have a way of consuming your mental space long after the interaction ends. They linger in your thoughts, replaying their criticisms or manipulations. Break this cycle by carving out time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Whether it's a walk in nature, journaling, or engaging in a hobby you love, these moments are essential for recharging your emotional battery. But what about your mental space? How do you stop toxic people from living rent-free in your mind? This is where mindfulness, a concept closely aligned with Stoic philosophy, comes into play. Practice observing your thoughts without judgment. When you find yourself ruminating over a negative interaction, Gently redirect your focus to the present moment. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? If not, let it go. Physical health is another pillar of self-care. Toxic people often create stress, which takes a toll on your body. Exercise, eat nourishing foods, and prioritize sleep. These aren't just acts of self-care, they're acts of resilience. A healthy body supports a resilient mind. Let's not overlook the importance of setting aside time for solitude and reflection. The Stoics were big proponents of daily introspection, examining their actions and thoughts to align better with their values. Use this time to check in with yourself. Are your interactions with toxic individuals aligning with your boundaries? Are you prioritizing your needs? Now, here's a critical truth. Self-care is not selfish. In fact, it's one of the most selfless things you can do. When you take care of yourself, you show up better in all areas of your life. You're more patient, more focused, and more capable of handling challenges, including dealing with toxic people. So, ask yourself, how am I prioritizing my well-being today? If the answer isn't clear, it's time to make a change. Remember, your peace is priceless, and investing in it is the greatest gift you can give yourself. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on how self-care has played a role in your journey. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's build a community of support and encouragement. And if you're finding this content valuable, give this video a like. It helps us reach more people who might need these insights. Now, let's move forward to the next crucial step: building a strong support system. 4. Build a strong support system. No one is an island. Even the most self-reliant individuals need a network of support to thrive, especially when navigating the stormy seas of toxic relationships. Toxic people often isolate you, intentionally or not, making you feel as though they are your only source of connection. But Stoicism reminds us that while we must cultivate inner strength, we are also social beings who benefit from the companionship of those who uplift us. Think about it. Who in your life truly supports you? Who listens without judgment, offers honest advice, and respects your boundaries? These are the people who form the bedrock of your support system. They act as mirrors, reflecting your worth when toxic individuals try to cloud your perception of yourself. Why is a strong support system so vital? Toxic people thrive on manipulation, often making you doubt your own reality. A solid network of friends, family, or even a community of like-minded individuals can help ground you. They offer a different perspective, reminding you of your value and reinforcing your boundaries when they are under attack. How do you build this support system? Start by seeking out those who have consistently shown they care about your well-being. These might be lifelong friends, trusted family members, or even colleagues who've become confidants. If your current circle feels limited, don't hesitate to explore new connections. Join communities or groups aligned with your interests or values. In today's world, online communities can also provide a safe space to connect with supportive individuals. But a support system isn't just about seeking help. It's about mutual respect and reciprocity. Be there for others as they are there for you. The Stoics emphasized the importance of contributing positively to the community, fostering relationships built on mutual trust and goodwill. Now, let's address a common hesitation. What if I feel like a burden by sharing my struggles? This is a narrative toxic people often instill, making you believe your needs are too much for others to bear. But here's the truth. Genuine connections thrive on authenticity. By opening up, you allow others to do the same, deepening your bond and fostering a culture of mutual support. As you strengthen your support system, you'll find that toxic people lose their grip on you. Their attempts to isolate or manipulate you are less effective when you're surrounded by voices that remind you of your worth and potential. Up next, we'll delve into a critical skill that will empower you to take control of your interactions: setting clear boundaries. Let's continue this journey of reclaiming your peace and freedom. 5. Set clear boundaries. Imagine standing in the middle of a field with no fence around you. Anyone can wander in, trampling your space and disrupting your peace. This is what life feels like without boundaries. Toxic people in particular thrive in such environments, pushing limits and testing how much they can take from you. But here's the good news. You have the power to build that fence, strong, unyielding, and entirely within your control. Setting boundaries is one of the most empowering tools in your arsenal. Yet, many of us hesitate to establish them, fearing confrontation, guilt, or rejection. Toxic individuals often exploit this hesitation, manipulating you into believing that your needs and limits are unimportant. But the truth is simple. Your boundaries are not negotiable. They are the foundation of a life rooted in self-respect and emotional well-being. Why are boundaries so critical? Without them, toxic people will continue to encroach on your time, energy, and peace of mind. They'll interrupt your work, demand your attention at inconvenient times, and criticize you without accountability. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, and boundaries are precisely that, a clear declaration of what behavior you will and won't accept. How do you set these boundaries effectively? Start by identifying what matters most to you. Is it your personal time, your emotional space, or perhaps your values? Once you've pinpointed these priorities, communicate them clearly and assertively. For instance, if a toxic person constantly calls you during your personal time, you might say, "I'm unavailable after 8 p.m. Please respect that." No lengthy explanations are needed. Clarity and firmness are your allies. Of course, setting boundaries is only half the battle. The real challenge lies in enforcing them. Toxic people will test your limits, pushing back with guilt, anger, or even subtle manipulation. This is where your resolve must remain steadfast. If they cross a boundary, remind them of it calmly but firmly. Consistency is key. Each time you enforce your boundaries, you reinforce your self-worth. But what about the guilt? It's natural to feel uneasy when asserting your needs, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others over yourself. Remember this: boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your well-being. By setting limits, you're fostering healthier interactions for both yourself and others. You're teaching people how to treat you. Now, here's a crucial insight from Stoicism. Boundaries are a reflection of your inner strength. They signal to the world that you value yourself enough to demand respect. And when you stand firm, toxic individuals either adapt or reveal their true colors. Either way, you win. Take a moment to reflect. Where in your life do you need stronger boundaries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your journey could inspire someone else to take that first step in reclaiming their peace. And if this discussion resonates with you, give this video a like. It's a simple way to show that you're committed to building a life of respect and resilience. Next, we'll explore the art of mastering non-reaction, a powerful technique that strips toxic people of their control over your emotions. Stay with me as we continue to fortify your emotional defenses. 6. Master the art of non-reaction. Toxic people thrive on drama. They push your buttons, provoke emotional responses, and bask in the chaos they create. For them, your reaction is fuel. It validates their control and feeds their appetite for conflict. But what if you could take that power away? What if, instead of reacting, you remained calm, composed, and unshaken? This is the essence of mastering non-reaction, a skill rooted deeply in Stoicism. The Stoics believed that while we cannot control the behavior of others, we have complete dominion over our responses. In the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This principle is your shield against the toxic manipulations of others. By choosing non-reaction, you deny them the satisfaction of your emotional turmoil. Why is non-reaction so powerful? Because toxic people crave control over your emotions. They want to see you angry, defensive, or hurt. It reinforces their sense of superiority. When you refuse to engage, you send a clear message. You are not in control of my inner peace. This shift disarms them, often leaving them frustrated and powerless. How can you practice non-reaction in real-life scenarios? Imagine you're in a heated argument with a toxic individual. They hurl accusations, twist your words, and try to provoke you. Instead of responding in kind, you pause. Take a deep breath. Instead of engaging, say something neutral like, "I hear what you're saying," or "I'll think about that." Then, calmly walk away if necessary. This isn't about being passive or avoiding conflict. It's about maintaining control over your emotional state. When you respond with calm detachment, you protect your peace while keeping the interaction from escalating. Non-reaction also involves mastering your inner dialogue. Toxic people often leave you replaying conversations in your mind, obsessing over what was said. This mental loop can drain your energy long after the interaction ends. Break this cycle by grounding yourself in the present moment. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? The answer, almost always, is no. But what about those situations where you feel the need to defend yourself? It's natural to want to correct false accusations or stand up against unfair criticism. However, ask yourself this: will my reaction change their behavior or perspective? In many cases, the answer is no. Toxic people are rarely seeking resolution, they're seeking control. By remaining calm and composed, you show that their words have no power over you. Over time, practicing non-reaction becomes second nature. The more you resist the urge to engage, the stronger your emotional resilience grows. Toxic people will either tire of their fruitless provocations or be forced to adjust their behavior. Either way, you remain in control. Next, we'll explore a highly effective technique to neutralize toxic interactions: the Grey Rock method. Let's continue building your emotional toolkit together. 7. Employ the Grey Rock method. Some toxic individuals thrive on chaos and drama, drawing energy from your emotional reactions. They seek to provoke, to stir conflict, and to pull you into their turbulent world. What if you could render their efforts entirely fruitless by becoming, quite simply, uninteresting? Enter the Grey Rock method, a powerful strategy to disarm toxic people by denying them the fuel they crave. Imagine a grey rock lying on the ground. It's dull, unremarkable, and completely unresponsive to its surroundings. When you adopt this approach in your interactions, you present yourself as emotionally neutral, disengaged, and utterly uninspiring. Toxic people who feed off drama will quickly find no satisfaction in their attempts to provoke you. Why does this method work so effectively? Toxic individuals are driven by a need to control and manipulate. They thrive on the highs of seeing you react, whether through anger, frustration, or even fear. By becoming a grey rock, you remove the thrill of their manipulation. You provide minimal responses, stick to facts, and avoid emotional engagement. Over time, they lose interest, as there's no drama to sustain their need for control. How do you apply the Grey Rock method in practice? Let's say someone is trying to bait you into an argument. Instead of engaging, respond with short, neutral phrases. "Okay, that's your opinion," or "I see." Avoid providing personal details or elaborating on your feelings. If they press further, maintain your calm, detached demeanor. The less reactive you are, the quicker they'll realize their efforts are futile. This method isn't about being passive or allowing toxic behavior to go unchecked. It's about protecting your energy. You're not giving them access to your emotions or your mental space. However, it's important to use this technique in situations where direct confrontation or setting boundaries may escalate conflict unnecessarily. Does this mean you should always remain a grey rock? Not necessarily. This method is most effective in scenarios where you can't fully distance yourself from a toxic individual, such as in professional settings or unavoidable social situations. It's a temporary tool to neutralize their impact while you protect your inner peace. Reflection is key. Consider this. When was the last time someone tried to provoke you, and how might the grey rock method have changed the outcome? Share your thoughts below, and let's learn from each other's experiences. If this strategy resonates with you, like the video to let others know that calm and neutrality can be powerful weapons. Now, let's explore a deeper understanding of toxic behavior and learn why their actions are never about you. Understanding this truth is liberating, and it sets the stage for reclaiming your peace. 8. Understand it's not personal. One of the most liberating realizations you can have when dealing with toxic people is this: their behavior is not about you. It's a reflection of their own inner struggles, insecurities, and unresolved issues. Toxic individuals often project their pain onto others, making you feel like the source of their unhappiness. But in reality, their actions reveal more about them than they do about you. Why is this understanding so crucial? Because toxic people are masters at shifting blame. They'll make you feel responsible for their problems, their emotions, and their failures. This can leave you carrying guilt and self-doubt, questioning your worth. But the Stoics remind us, we are not responsible for the actions of others, only our responses. Once you internalize this truth, you free yourself from the weight of their manipulations. Consider a common scenario. A toxic person lashes out at you after a bad day. They criticize you, twist your words, and blame you for things beyond your control. It's easy to take this personally, thinking, "What did I do wrong?" But here's the reality. Their reaction has little to do with you. They're projecting their own frustrations and pain, using you as an emotional outlet. How do you apply this understanding in your daily life? Start by reframing your perspective. When someone's toxic behavior surfaces, pause and remind yourself, this isn't about me. View their actions as a symptom of their inner turmoil, rather than a reflection of your worth. This mental shift creates an emotional barrier, preventing their negativity from infiltrating your peace. But what if their behavior feels deeply personal? Toxic people often exploit your vulnerabilities, targeting areas where you feel most sensitive. In these moments, remember that their attacks are calculated. They know which buttons to press. Your task is to detach emotionally and recognize their tactics for what they are: attempts to control. Their words only have power if you allow them to. Understanding that it's not personal also means releasing the need to fix them. Toxic individuals must confront their own issues, and no amount of effort on your part can change them. As the Stoics teach, focus on what is within your control, your own growth, your own peace. In the next section, we'll delve into another transformative strategy: recognizing toxic behaviors early. Stay tuned as we uncover the subtle signs and learn how to navigate them with clarity and strength. 9. Recognize toxic behavior early. Toxic behavior is often like a slow drip. It starts subtly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you find yourself drowning in negativity. The insidious nature of toxic individuals lies in their ability to disguise their manipulation, criticism, or control as concern, humor, or even love. To protect your peace, it's crucial to develop the skill of recognizing these behaviors early, before they take root in your life. What does toxic behavior look like? It can take many forms: constant criticism masked as helpful advice, passive-aggressive comments disguised as jokes, or dramatic outbursts followed by guilt-tripping apologies. Have you ever encountered someone who makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells, unsure of how they'll react next? This unpredictability is a hallmark of toxicity, designed to keep you off balance. The Stoics emphasized the importance of seeing things clearly, free from emotional distortion. Applying this principle, start by observing your interactions objectively. Ask yourself, how do I feel after spending time with this person? If you consistently leave conversations feeling drained, anxious, or devalued, it's a sign of toxic dynamics at play. Early recognition is key because toxic behavior often escalates over time. What starts as occasional criticism can evolve into full-blown manipulation. The earlier you identify these patterns, the sooner you can set boundaries or distance yourself. Look for red flags such as excessive blame, a refusal to take responsibility, or an inability to respect your time and space. But what if the behavior isn't obvious? Toxic people often employ subtle tactics like backhanded compliments or jokes that undermine your confidence. They might say, "You're so sensitive," after you express discomfort, flipping the narrative to make you feel like the problem. Recognizing these behaviors requires mindfulness and a commitment to trusting your instincts. Once you've identified toxic behavior, the next step is to decide how to respond. This might involve setting boundaries, limiting contact, or even ending the relationship if necessary. Remember, recognizing toxicity is not about judging the person. It's about protecting your well-being. Reflection time. Have you ever realized, perhaps too late, that someone's behavior was toxic? What signs do you wish you'd noticed earlier? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insights could help someone else recognize toxic patterns in their own life. And if this discussion has been enlightening, give this video a like to help spread awareness. 10. Practice cognitive reframing. When dealing with toxic people, one of their most damaging tactics is making you question your worth. They twist reality, blame you for their actions, and try to make you believe you're the problem. It's easy to fall into the trap of internalizing their negativity, but here's where Stoicism offers a powerful tool: cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing is the practice of shifting your perspective to view a situation in a more empowering light. The Stoics were masters of this, emphasizing that events themselves don't disturb us. It's our interpretation of those events that causes distress. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." How does this work in the context of toxic people? Let's say someone constantly criticizes you, implying that you're incompetent or unworthy. Instead of absorbing their words as truth, pause and reframe the situation. Remind yourself that their criticism is more about their insecurities than your abilities. You could think, their negativity reflects their inner struggles, not my value. This mental shift helps you detach emotionally and see their behavior for what it truly is, a projection of their own issues. Reframing also applies to how you perceive conflict. When a toxic person lashes out, it's natural to feel attacked and defensive. But what if you saw their outburst as a sign of their own internal chaos, rather than a reflection of your worth? By changing the lens through which you view their behavior, you reclaim your power. You're no longer the victim of their manipulation, but an observer of their dysfunction. How can you cultivate this mindset? Start by questioning the narratives you've accepted. Ask yourself, is this really about me, or is it about them? When you feel hurt or offended, pause and consider alternative explanations. This isn't about excusing their behavior, but about protecting your peace by refusing to internalize their toxicity. The beauty of cognitive reframing is that it not only shields you from emotional harm, but also empowers you to respond with greater clarity and calm. You're no longer reacting from a place of hurt, but responding from a place of strength and understanding. Up next, we'll explore the transformative power of forgiveness, not for them, but for your own peace. Stay with me as we uncover why letting go is one of the greatest acts of strength. 11. Practice forgiveness for your own peace. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many see it as excusing harmful behavior or letting someone off the hook. But true forgiveness, as the Stoics teach, is not about the other person. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains of resentment and anger. In the words of Seneca, to forgive is not to grant pardon to the offender, but to free oneself from the burden of bitterness. Why is forgiveness essential when dealing with toxic people? Because holding on to anger and resentment only harms you. Toxic individuals often move on without a second thought, while you're left reliving their actions, trapped in a cycle of pain. Forgiveness breaks this cycle. It's not about forgetting or minimizing what they did. It's about refusing to let their behavior dictate your emotional state any longer. How do you begin to forgive? Start by acknowledging your feelings. It's okay to feel hurt, angry, or betrayed. These emotions are valid. But once you've processed them, ask yourself, is holding on to this anger serving me? The answer is almost always no. Forgiveness is a conscious choice to release the grip of these emotions, allowing you to reclaim your mental and emotional freedom. Here's an important distinction. Forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to reconcile or even interact with them again. Forgiveness is an internal act, independent of the other person's awareness or acknowledgement. It's about lightening your emotional load, not about repairing a relationship that may no longer serve you. But what if the pain feels too deep to forgive? Forgiveness is a process, not a one-time event. Start small by forgiving minor offenses, building your emotional resilience over time. Each act of forgiveness strengthens your ability to let go, preparing you for larger challenges. Remember, forgiveness is for you, not for them. It's about choosing peace over prolonged pain. The Stoics understood that harboring resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. By forgiving, you liberate yourself from this toxic cycle. You take back the emotional space they occupied, filling it instead with peace and clarity. Reflection time. What grudges or resentments are you holding on to? And how might letting them go improve your life? Share your journey in the comments below, and let's support each other in this transformative process. If this perspective on forgiveness has resonated, give the video a like to help others find the peace they deserve. Next, we'll discuss the ultimate step in reclaiming your life from toxicity, knowing when to walk away. Stay tuned as we conclude this journey with one of the most empowering acts of self-love. 12. Recognize when to walk away. There's a moment in every toxic relationship when the scales tip, and you realize, I've done all I can. You've set boundaries, limited exposure, practiced forgiveness, and yet the toxic behavior persists. It's in this moment that the most courageous decision presents itself: walking away. This is not an act of surrender, but one of profound self-respect and liberation. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control. When you've exhausted all efforts to maintain peace, and the other person continues to disrupt your well-being, the only thing left to control is your presence in their life. Walking away isn't about punishment or revenge. It's about protecting your mental and emotional health. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If someone consistently pollutes your inner world, it's time to let go. Why is walking away so powerful? Because it's the ultimate declaration of your self-worth. Toxic people will try to convince you otherwise. They'll label you as selfish, accuse you of abandoning them, or try to guilt you into staying. But here's the truth. You are not responsible for their well-being, nor are you obligated to sacrifice your peace for their comfort. How do you know it's time to walk away? Ask yourself, is this relationship contributing to my growth, happiness, or sense of peace? If the answer is no, and if every effort to improve the dynamic has failed, it's a clear sign that walking away is the healthiest choice. This doesn't mean the decision will be easy. It may come with feelings of guilt, fear of the unknown, or sadness over what's being left behind. But these feelings are temporary, while the peace you gain is lasting. Walking away is an act of courage. It's choosing to prioritize your well-being over the illusion of stability in a toxic relationship. It's accepting that not all relationships are meant to endure and that some endings are necessary for your growth. Let's be clear. Walking away doesn't always mean cutting ties completely. In some cases, it might mean redefining the relationship, moving from close involvement to polite distance. In others, it might mean a clean break. Either way, it's about creating the space you need to thrive. But what if you're afraid of what comes next? It's natural to fear the uncertainty that follows a significant change. The Stoics remind us that life is a series of unknowns, and our task is not to control the future, but to face it with resilience. Trust that in letting go of what no longer serves you, you're making room for healthier, more fulfilling connections. Reflection time. Have you ever stayed in a toxic relationship longer than you should have? What gave you the strength to finally walk away? Share your story in the comments below. It could inspire someone else to take that brave step. And if this message resonates, like the video and let others know they're not alone in their journey. Dealing with toxic people is one of life's greatest challenges, but it's also an opportunity for profound growth and self-discovery. Through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, you now have 13 powerful strategies to navigate these difficult relationships. From setting clear boundaries to mastering non-reaction, from practicing forgiveness to recognizing when it's time to walk away, each step brings you closer to reclaiming your peace. Remember, you are not responsible for fixing toxic people, and you don't owe them your energy or your well-being. Your greatest responsibility is to yourself, to cultivate a life filled with respect, growth, and serenity. The tools you've gained here are not just about surviving toxic relationships, they're about thriving beyond them. If this video has resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Which strategy do you find most helpful? Have you tried any of these approaches in your own life? Let's build a community of support and empowerment. And if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need these insights. Together, we can spread the wisdom of Stoicism and help more people find the peace they deserve. Thank you for watching, and may you continue to walk your path with strength, clarity, and grace. Peace and resilience to you on your journey.